can surround myself with people that are better than me at something, then it's going to heighten my abilities, right? It's going to take me up a notch. My grandfather used to tell me, if you are the smartest one in the room, find a new room. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for showing up to the Provoke Coach podcast. As you know, I get these inspiring people on my podcast that really have these successful stories of really provoking moments along the way. You know, not everything was perfect. Not everything was laid out for them, but they've just been able to make it through and make it to the top. So I have a special guest with me today. I have another peak performance type coach, and this is pretty exciting for me because I get to talk shop a little bit. Sam from Better Than Before. Thank you so much for showing up to the Provoke Coach podcast.
Oh, mate, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. I love what you do. I love what you stand for, and just the energy you bring to the table, man. Like you're an absolute weapon. I love it.
Yeah, you and I didn't get a chance to talk about this, prior to this conversation, but, I spent some time over in your neck of the woods one summer. My sister was a foreign exchange student in Christchurch, and her husband, now husband, he was my best friend growing up, and her boyfriend at the time, we got a chance to go over and visit her. And wow, I mean, that's where I went bungee jumping. That's where I got this tattoo of this kiwi bird holding a beer.
Amazing. You're part of the family.
Yeah, I'm a fan. And as you can see, my logo kind of looks like a kiwi bird, in a way, with the green and that kind of chicken. So man, thank you so much for being on from the other side of the world. Thank you so much.
This is the amazing thing about it all, is like to be, for me, I'm going to take something away. I'm going to move forward with my life through this conversation. And, just for me personally as well, I get to move forward, and if anyone else can take anything away from this, then that's just a bonus. At the same time, you got to be selfish sometimes, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm hugely excited for where this conversation is going to go. And also, I was born and raised in Christchurch, and I'm a proud Cantabrian, so it's absolutely amazing to hear that. Yeah, that's where the family's been before.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like any other place that is outside of where you were brought up and where you grew up, and just this other part of the world that's just so much different than where we're at here, stateside. And it was just amazing culture, amazing people, amazing heritage, just all around, on all the islands and areas. Auckland was just such a wonderful nightlife city that was just full of culture as well. And then, as you got out into the green pastures, I say, and super green, it was just amazing. How has it been growing up there? I mean, got to be amazing.
There's no place like home. I've
Yeah,
done a bit of traveling,
yeah,
probably not as extensively as what I'd like to.
yeah,
But yeah, definitely, like, this place has such a massive part of my heart. I'm so proud of,
yeah,
where I come from, and yeah, I'm excited to see what I can bring to the table to elevate this little country in a positive manner. And we have a thing over here called tall poppy syndrome. Like, quite often people will just try to chop you down for no apparent reason, and I want to do my bit to say, that's not good enough. I'm out here.
yeah,
I'm putting myself up. I want to put not only myself but New Zealand on a pedestal to bring positive change. So yeah, hugely proud of this little country. We seem to punch above our weight in everything we do.
yeah.
And when it comes to sport, the All Blacks, anything really. Yeah, and just our little country of 5 million is, yeah, such an amazing space.
Yeah, and it was really fantastic being there for such a small area. You're right, like very powerful. And you're absolutely right. I mean, the culture, the space, and of course, there's no place like home, so you got to have that. But you're right, backing it up in many different areas. Now, I guess enough about where you come from. Let's talk about you for a second. Like,
Don't
I've
get don't get me started here.
Yeah, I know, right? Everybody loves to chat
Exactly,
about
yeah.
themselves, right? But I mean, really, I've been following you, for I think just over a year now, that we've kind of connected, and you're one of those people, like as we were talking before, is that you don't like to fill your head with, with negative people or people you don't really care to, want to listen to or even communicate with or anything like that. There was a lot that gravitated towards, you for me, but there's a lot of people listening that don't know who you are. And maybe this is the first time that they've encountered you and what you stand for. What do you do in present day? Who are
Present day
you?
right now, I'm just on a journey to make as much impact as I possibly can,
Yeah.
and to be a better version of myself, like, every single day. And that's the wonderful thing about building this brand. Like, this is a dream. Like, I'm literally living my dreams right now. It hasn't made the impact, obviously, that I'd like to yet, and it's about enjoying the ride. Like,
Yep.
yeah, every day I get to wake up, I spend time with my family. I get to train, I get to network in with amazing people. I get to sit down and have conversations like this that are going to help me move forward with my life, and put me in a better position than before.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just about dream chasing. Like, I find that a lot of people don't fully commit, and they just be happy with the status quo, and don't really go deep. So currently right now, I'm just, yeah, living my dream, building an amazing environment, an amazing family to facilitate positive changes, individually, as a team, where we can all be respectful of each other. There's just so much going on right now with COVID. There's
Yeah.
wars going on. The more of us that can come together in a positive way, and I get it, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I'm at peace with that now. But if I can facilitate that so that I can be a part of something special, because I love a team environment, I love sport. This is my team. This is something that I want to be a part of every single day, because it helps me move forward. And yeah, I know it's helping others move forward at the same time. So right now, I'm just every day taking a step forward, one little step at a time. It compounds. You break through, and then you keep moving forward.
Yeah. And where, I guess, where does, where does better than before come from? Your slogan, your logo, your brand. I mean, what is that?
So that all stemmed from like I was somebody like uh, I was doing reasonably well at life. I think, I'm 32. I own a couple of homes. Like I was at the time, I was working for Under Armour, or just sort of finished up there, and then before that, I was at Red Bull, and I just love culture. I love standing for something, and they tell sick stories through content and things, and I've always been someone that's been passionate about whatever brand or team I always stand on. I'm proud to be a part of something, and I always I dreamed of having something myself. And you're always like, I'm very self-assured in myself. I believe in myself, but I've always had that limiting belief that I wasn't good enough. Like, oh, you can't do that. Who are you to say you can do something like that? And then it was one of my mates. He started a apparel company and started printing t-shirts, and that sort of gave me the push. I was already on a journey of like really going deep on myself and seeing what I wanted to make changes in my life. So like I was like alcohol's holding me back. My son's about to be born. I want to be present as possible. So
Yep.
let's fully commit to giving up alcohol for at least those 12 months. Let's see what happens. And I just fully committed to a growth mindset, to every single day take a step forward, the highs, the lows. And yeah, so then I was like, okay, I'm committing to this.
Hmm.
And then I got to about March and last year, and I was like, okay, like my mates just made this brand. Like you need to commit. Like if this is what you truly want, like you get one shot at this thing called life. Why not give it a crack? Like you don't need the whole roadmap. You just got to have, again, take one step. And like I've always wanted to be a business owner, and I was like, why are you not currently, like right now? Well, because you haven't registered a business. That's how easy it is. You don't have to
Right.
even have a product. It's like register a business, tick a box, okay, and then what's the next step from there? One
Exactly.
small step at a time. And then I was like, okay, cool. So who am I? I was going down that track anyway. Like, who am I? What do I stand for? I really think I'm a caring, compassionate person that wants to make a difference. That has always been, I feel, a leader as such, and that brings people together, and
Yeah.
whether it's organizing a sports team or whatever it is. And then I was like, okay, so that's who you are. So what is this brand, or what is this business going to be? And I started playing around, and I've always been someone that loves sport, loves to be moving forward with his life, and probably not as accelerated as it is now. And then it just came to me, and I was like, okay, cool. So then where do we go from here? We need something to stand beside. We need that logo. What does that look like? And then I was like playing around on Snapchat, and and
Yeah.
it just looks terrible at the start. But and then all of a
Right.
sudden the BTB came together, and I was like, okay, let's play around with this. All right, so let's put this B here, let's put this T here, let's flip this B. And then I was like, hang on a minute, there's a butterfly here. All right, you've been on this journey. I feel like some people are like, oh, like this has all happened overnight. And I'm like, no, this has been 32 years of my life, like working towards this.
Right.
I've always
Right.
had something there that I know that I'm capable of amazing things, and that, I want to do more. So, and then, yeah, the butterfly was there, and I was like, for me personally, I'm on this amazing journey of, I feel as though, that I'm finding this beautiful final form of what I need to be doing with my life.
Mm.
And then I was like, better than before. The butterfly, it goes on this journey to be this amazing creature, and it just like all fell into place. And then
Wow.
from there, obviously, you probably saw the early version of the logo where it was
Yeah.
just the BTB, and then so I went and registered that. I've always wanted a trademark. I just like the little the little R and things like
Right.
that. So
Sure.
then I went down that track. I was like, okay, how do I do that? I've got no clue. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump online. I'm going to research it. I'm going to take
Yeah.
another step forward. And then there was somebody else out there that had something very similar. And I was like, oh shit, I've just paid, this money, and
Right.
it's been the application's been denied. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, all right,
Yeah.
what am I going to do now? And like because of like paying mortgages, making sure food's on the table, like money
Yeah.
was tight. I was just making ends meet when it came to pushing money into this. And it was quite funny. Like, this is another magical moment. I was like, I just got off the phone. I was like, is there anything I can do? And they're like, you need to touch base with the person that's got the registered trademark. They haven't used it in a while. I reached out to them, and they're like, we're not actually using it, but we may one day. And I was like, okay, well, that's the end of that. So I was like, right, let's do it properly. I called up I'd seen my mate had just started a podcast and he'd done some amazing, got his logo all done and it looked really cool. And then he'd seen, the evolution of nailing it down. And I was like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. He's done an amazing job. So I called him up or got in contact with him and he's like, oh, it's going to be like $400 or $500. And I'm just like, okay.
Right.
Literally got off the phone to this guy. 10 minutes later, a guy reaches out to me. He's like, yo, I absolutely love what you are doing. Is there any way that I can support you? And I said, well, I have to change my logo. The big piece about this is identity, is giving some people, something to stand beside.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I'll pay for it. So, it's funny that, something will happen. And then if you're doing these amazing things, like I can't explain it. The world works and universe works in mysterious ways.
So I'm going to stop you for a second before you go on, because I do have a question. I got a million questions, but I think probably the main one I think would be just the fact of really letting people understand and know that once you did it, because your story is so similar to mine of thinking about this isn't just happen. You had been thinking about it and almost pulling the trigger how many times to where when you really figured out, like, okay, so I got to register my business, not a problem. I mean, here in the States, I mean, I think it was like $300, to like pay for everything. And I was just like, all right. So once I did that and got my LLC, I was like, all right, well, there it is.
Yeah.
Business owner, shit. It wasn't that hard. How long did it take you to really pull the trigger? Was it a long time that you kind of tried to overthink it, overanalyze it before you really pulled the trigger?
When I got to the stage of like, I'm doing this, I'm a guy that's when I'm in.
Yeah.
And it was like, so when I was already at that stage, I was like, everything that's happening, I'm rolling with this momentum. I'm just going to keep it going. So just even going down that track of trying to be the best version of myself, turning up every day and saying, what are the shit that you need to change in your life? Yeah. The amazing things that were happening were just like, I couldn't explain it. So I was like, I'm not going to change anything. So like, I think it took me a long time to just feel that real empowerment of commit. So I was committing to so much, like, so much changes and whatnot. And it's about progress. It's not about perfection, like you gotta work towards things. And so it was like, in that moment in time, it was just like it was an easy decision to make, but I feel as though in the lead up into that, like there was another time where I'd just about registered a brand, I'd done all the work, and then I'd just given up because I was like, I can't do that sort of thing. So, and then when you go into these spaces of like these amazing stories, like it's pretty cliche, but every story starts from scratch. Like, everyone has a story to tell, and like you can unpack anybody in life, and you could literally write a book about their life, like the highs, the lows, the journey, and everyone's got a story to tell. So yeah, for me, it was an easy decision at the time. But it's been a hell of a lot of work and behind the scenes to get to be able to make that easy decision.
Yeah. And I guess, it's just, such an awesome, brand idea, and better than before. I mean, when you're really talking about a butterfly and its journey as well, like I think there's a lot of symbolicness that is associated with, once it was a, caterpillar worm, and then all of a sudden it hunkered down.
Yeah.
It hunkered down, it cocooned up, and how many times do we do that, to where we just like, we kind of get in there, and then, and maybe we're quiet for a while, and maybe we're dormant for a while. And then and then all of a sudden, boom, when we explode, we went from caterpillar to butterfly. That's a fantastic, brand story. Now,
yeah, I think so.
Where do you see this in the future? I mean, I know you're just ramping up. I know you're early into this. I mean, you're a year in, but moving at a very rapid speed with growth and with touch. And I guess I want people to that are listening or watching to know really what you do on a daily basis, because you're helping people more than I think what people understand. So, two-part question, I suppose, Sam.
Yeah.
Let people know what you're really doing on a daily basis, because you touch a lot of people in very, different areas, and you get sports involved in a
And
way.
in appropriate ways, I touch them as well, just to give
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
context.
yeah, not,
Yeah.
not
You
physically.
got to have a laugh. Yeah.
Most of the time. But yeah, you're out there in the community though, is what I mean. And of course, following guidelines in doing all that, but you're face to face with people,
Yeah,
not just
absolutely.
virtual.
I think, yeah, like day to day, I just get up and take a step forward, and it compounds like whether or not like I get up in the morning, I feel groggy. In my opinion, like if I have a coffee, if that sets me up to be better, then I'm better than before. Boom, one job done, on to
Yeah.
the next. So like for me, just getting up, reading 10 pages in my book,
Yeah.
and this is just through listening to podcasting and, somebody like Andy Frisella and picking up
Yep.
little pieces of everybody. And that's the
Yep.
wonderful thing. Like there's so much resource out there so that you can go away and be like, okay, this works for me. I'm going to give that a crack,
Yeah.
and so every day I'm just trying to, take at least one step forward, to learn, to upskill, to grow. And it's 100 miles an hour. And like, I'm just learning to, that I mean, it's out there, but I'm learning to say no, like, because I'm a guy that's like, I don't want to say no. Like I want to help. I want to do this. I want to do that. But it's such a great art in, being able to say no. Like
Yeah.
I'm biting off more than I can chew sometimes. Like there's so much going on. But as you continue to make those steps forward, you get more clarity, you get
Yep.
more understanding, you get more precision, and you just like you reflect and you're like, okay, what are the things that I've done today? How could I do them better? What are the lessons that I've learned from them? And the more often that you can do that, the more awareness you build, and then you get a more understanding. Like I've got such a big vision for this. Like I want to impact 1 million lives. So
Yeah.
um, you know, and every day if I, it just impact one person and they go out and things like that, like it just starts to the momentum starts to build. And at the end of the day, like if I impact 200,000 people, I'm not going to be upset about that. I'm going to be so proud of myself. I already am proud of what's going on. So
Yeah.
when you can be in that environment and really not care about, anybody else so much, like you just got to focus on what's here, because you're going to get a negative, you're going to get a positive. I'm getting both of them, don't get me wrong. I love all the positive. I love being able to help. I love when
Right.
people are telling you that you're saving their life. Like I'm just like, holy hell, how did I get to this point in my life where people are really taking something away from this and it's helping them to be better? And
Yep.
so yeah, that's like every day I'm just trying to take a step forward, whether it's in business, like networking, shooting shots. Like the amount of times that I'm reaching out to different people. Like today I had some amazing news. I just had a great conversation before this one,
Yep.
with one of my sponsors. Then all of a sudden, boom, who comes
Yep.
into my DM in all black?
Yep.
So now I'm going to get to sit down with a guy that's got 50,000 followers, that's playing rugby for the country, to
Yep.
talk to him about, unpack him around mental health so that people can sit there and watch and really understand like what makes him tick, how he gets
Yep.
through all the hard things in life. And I get to be a part of that. Whereas if I didn't do this, I wouldn't be having these conversations. Like I had a guy that's had 30 years in broadcasting. Like I've got bigger visions and I'm only looking
Right.
inside New Zealand. But then through those opportunities, if I come in with real passion and say, I'm trying, I am making a difference. Would you like to be a part of this? Like majority of, if you say no, then, yeah, I'm respectful. But majority of people will be like, yeah, actually, I love that,
Right.
and also it's always, as Gary Vee always goes on, it's about adding value. Like, how can I add value for you? It's like, I'm making an impact. I'd love you to be a part of this. I'd love you to bring exposure to the person. Do your homework on these people as well. Like,
Yep.
where they come from, who they are, what they stand for. Just say, our values are really aligned and things, rather than just being like,
Yeah.
can you do this for me? Like come in there, have some real intent behind those approaches and things like that. So I always go off on bits of a tangents because my
Yeah.
mind is just like,
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, and I guess for your brand being what it is now, do you see, I mean, obviously more growth. Is it going to be a lot on the retail heavy side? I mean, do you feel that it will be more content based with a lot of
It
the
will
things?
be
Yeah.
content
Okay.
because I think what I want to do though is I love apparel so much. I just go by that like at the end of the day, like
Well, I know you're
look good, feel
fashionable.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you know,
know
like
you're
I just think
fashionable,
that
and
it
that's
brings
why I
something to
asked.
the
Yeah.
table, you know, like if you take pride in who you are and things like that, it sets you up for success.
Yeah. Of
Like, you
course.
know, and I think it's you know, I love wearing, you know, apparel and branded products anyway. So I'd rather be wearing a product that I know what it stands for. Like a lot of people, Phil Knight, right? If I said Phil Knight, some people would be like, I've heard that name, but I don't know who he is. He's if you don't know who Phil Knight is, he's the founder of Nike, you know, and
Yeah.
people are relating to more people these
Yeah.
days and that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm gonna be wearing that head to toe because I just
Yeah.
love it so much, what it stands for, how I see it going. Like I'll probably stay away from retail. There might be some alignments
Yeah.
because I would rather just have it all done e-com. You
Yeah.
know, and like at the end of the day, someone's gonna be, you know, if somebody's cutting my tail, then what's going to happen is I guess that it's taking it away from the brand, which means that's less impact that can be made. So right now there's two things that are the toughest is resource. So I can't pump out enough content because there's some
Yeah.
amazing things. Like I'll open right up. Like I'm sitting at tables with multi-millionaires that are willing, you know, that are really helping me out. Like I don't mind,
Yeah.
you know, vlogging that, but I just can't turn around the content and the conversations that I've been having every
Yeah.
single day. And
Yeah.
then finances. Like right now, like this has been the biggest risk. I've had some amazing people that have come in to help me out.
Yeah.
I've just got one sponsor on board, that's a mate of mine that's had some real struggles, that does amazing things with the community. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
shout out to Broadhurst Builders, and you
Nice.
know, I've got the supplement company on board. I use supplements every single day. You know, I believe in health and nutrition,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. So for me, I just need to get out in front of people, tell them, so that I can build more streams of income or make it more financial so that there's more resource, which means there's more impact made. And it's a really tough thing because,
Sure
you
it
know,
is. Yeah.
it's a business, but I still want to be making impact. Like at the end of the day, I've still got to put food on the table. Like, you know how much that goes into creating this content to even
Yes.
help others. Like people don't see the you know, the 1, 2 a.m. in the morning when you're sitting at your computer like editing, or you know,
Right.
literally you've got to wear every single. I don't get me wrong, I love it. Like you've got
Yeah.
to be wearing every single hat. You know, you are marketing, you are sales, you are, you know, that somebody to lean on. You know,
Yeah.
and all that sort of thing. And it's so tough, but like you need to understand so that, you know, when it gets to the stage when the resource comes on board, you can be like, okay, I understand what's going on when it comes to the accountancy. I
Yeah.
understand what's going on
Exactly.
when it comes to cutting up the content.
Yeah, there are
You
some
know,
benefits to wearing, you know, all those hats as an entrepreneur as well. And I
yeah,
guess, you know, throughout the time that you've been doing it, even in the short period of time, you know, you're moving very rapidly. And that's a good positive thing because, you know, when you can have sponsors, you know, chipping in and getting those resources, you're absolutely right. People sometimes have a misconception to where when their values and what they really want as far as impact are weighed against the financial, not only the financial burden, but
yeah,
also the financial gain. And people have this misconception with a lot of entrepreneurs. Now, in our space, it's different because we are brand first, purpose first, driven. Everything else happens. And I've learned from great people and great mentors that I've had is that if you really chase your passion first, everything else you're going to get. You
oh,
know, it's just,
100%.
it may not happen exactly when you want it to, right?
Yeah,
But
it never does.
right, but golly, if life was that easy and that simple, you know, everybody would
Where's the
be
fun in that? Like, you're not going to
right.
figure out who you are as a person. Like, yeah,
Exactly.
you want to attack everything to see. Like, I want to stand back one day and be like, holy, you know, like, you know, I know
Yeah.
I'm not going to be David Goggins. Okay, David Goggins is David Goggins. I am
Right.
Sam Ringdahl. You know, I want to
Yeah.
see what I am capable of, the impact that I can make in
Yeah.
my field and what I'm good at. You know, you need to understand what
Exactly.
you can what can you bring to the table, because if you don't understand what you're good at and what your strengths are, because
Yeah.
that's what you dial down on. You want to
Exactly.
understand, you know, what your weaknesses are, but you all you want to do is get them to you know, a competent level. Like as an example, like I know I'm never going to be making amazing cinematic, vlogs and things like that, because I just want to be tuning around content and things like that. That's not what I'm trying to do. But if I can get a good understanding, a good level of, okay, if I do need to jump in and make content, I know exactly what needs to be done.
Exactly.
My focus is building a network, selling this dream to other people, that, what we're trying to create here and things, and getting in front of those other people, shooting those shots. So yeah, it's a really great thing to be wearing all those hats for the understanding. But you also got to be, understand what your strengths are, so that you can really dial down on those, because that's how you're going to continue to move forward. And through this is like, there's so many things happening each day. And like at the start, I was overthinking it, being like, okay, I need to, maybe I shouldn't do this just yet. But now I'm just like, if something comes, I'm just boom, I'm foot flat. I'm like, okay, how is this gonna
Right.
help me out right now? Like, and the creativity, it's like, I was literally walking down the road the other day. I had somebody great on. This has been the most rewarding time of my life, but it has been the toughest. Like,
Yeah.
it's had impact on my relationship. It's had impact financially.
Yeah.
But also like the impact that it's making off such a small base is like, it's crazy. Like, and so I was like, I've felt euphoria twice in my life. One of them was when I went 12 months sober,
Yeah.
and I finally reached that milestone. And for some reason, right place, right time, I was just walking down the street. Then all of a sudden, like, I was just about like in happy tears. Like, I was literally like skipping down the road, like had my headphones on. I was just like pretty much dancing down the street. Like, and if someone looked at me, they would have been like, what's this dude up to? But just in that
Yeah.
moment, like, I can't explain. And like, the more I get to feel that, I'm going to work to be looking for that, because that to me was just magic, and it just came out of nowhere. Like, I've tried
Yeah.
drugs, I've tried alcohol. I thought
Yep.
I knew what, feeling amazing feels like. And don't get me
Right.
wrong, like, I just choose not to do some of those things now. It's not that I don't enjoy it. I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
honest, like,
Yeah.
but yeah, that far outweighs, that 30 seconds of feeling like that outweighs anything I've ever done in my life. And it's like, I
Exactly.
never used to believe in these sort of things, but I'll tell you what, like, and even just talking about it now is, makes me feel so empowered, so amazing. And
Yeah.
it's been a hell of a ride. But I just love it. It's so good.
Well, and I guess, now that you say that and bring that up, like, where did this all come from? This concept for you, and this ride along. I mean, how did you grow up? I mean, have you always been like this? Were you different before? Can you kind of tell us a little bit of the backstory, I guess, growing up?
I always had a really good upbringing, really supportive parents, pretty much had everything, never went without, sort of thing. Like, I guess
Yeah.
some people, like, we were just a, middle of the road sort of family, but, we'd always, some of my friends would be like, oh, you always get what you want, sort of thing. So, like, if we want to choose or whatever, we kind of got looked after, probably packed a few tantrums along the way, but really supportive family, like, and just mum, like, what she's done for me, what she's done for this journey, like, there's a few people, and my grandmother and things as well, like, just the support from these people was, I'll always have them in my heart. And
Mhm.
I just want to, I guess just want to like, show them, and how, like, it's just such a great opportunity to be here. People take it for granted what, that life is, what life is like, and it's so destroying for me to see that people think that they need to be doing a job that they hate because it pays the bills, and all these sort of things. I'm gonna build this out to be like, I put something down on paper. I had no real idea what it was going to look like, and I took a small step every single day, and this is what it turned into. And it's funny. Like, I put something out on my local community page because I'm still learning to, chuck myself out there. It's progression.
Yeah.
Even though I'm on social media, I'm like, oh, because these people in my community are going to see me. So, like,
Hmm.
I put a piece of content of one of my podcasts. I said, I'm a local in the community. I'm proud of where I come from. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm doing this in my garage. I had this person on he's quite well known, and then someone reached out to me because obviously I got the sponsors on the bottom of some of the micro content. He's like, oh, how do I get involved with this? So it's just one step at a time.
Yeah.
If you you have to give with no expectations. Like some people are like, I'm going to do this because it's the right thing to do, and that means that I'm going to get all the recognitions that I deserve. Well, I don't do it for that, because I do it to
Yeah.
make people feel good, and then like through that, just the people that I've met, the the opportunities that I'm being given. But like I
Yeah.
say, it's been so tough. But yeah, sort of digressing there. But like, yeah, my upbringing was really good for me.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I've always had that feeling of like I'm here to do something. I never knew what it was, or like I've always just whatever I've done, I feel as though I've smashed it. Like, when it comes, sales is my background, and whatever I've gone into, whatever opportunity I went into, I always repaid that faith. Like people don't give you opportunities, or you get overlooked sometimes. So anytime,
Yeah.
like, I do, like, I was, probably really close to missing out on the job at Red Bull. I got that, and then I was like at the top of, the sales or the KPIs every single time, because I was like, and the opportunities that I got given, like sitting in, V8 supercars racing around the track. One person got selected, and just through my work ethic and things like that, is like, I always repay that faith. And I
Yeah.
just I just knew like I wanted to create something absolutely amazing. I think there's a real opportunity. I don't see anyone like, there's a lot of stuff out there, like, as an example, Now does an amazing job of what they've done, what they've branded, and where they're going with everything. But I don't see anyone doing it from a positive point of view. I really think that telling that story from little old New Zealand has some real legs, and trying to bring
Yeah.
exposure to that. I just see this amazing thing, and it's I needed to commit to it and just enjoy the ride. And at the end of the day, like right now, getting up to, like I say, coming to do this as you're telling me this is a job right now. This isn't no
Yeah.
job to me.
I
It's
know,
something
right?
special, and like I just want to show that anyone can do whatever they want through strategy, commitment, planning, and believing in yourself. Self belief is
Yeah.
everything, and not
Well,
enough
and
people
and
invest.
it's funny, your I don't want to say style is probably not the word, but I think in our space, everybody has their flavor, right? Everybody has their thing that they're doing, and I think for what you're talking about, and I just see this progression is better than before. So like if you're 1% better than what you were yesterday, you're moving in the right direction, because in 100 days you're going to be 100% better, by moving, that up. And those small steps, I think, is what I'm really taking away from you, Sam, is that it don't matter. Like if it's better the next day, you're moving in the right direction. And that's what I've seen. I mean, in a year's time, I've seen your brand go from, you're right, kind of playing around with the logo, trying to figure things out, to then all of a sudden, boom, I'm seeing reels that are getting thousands and thousands of views,
One of them
and
had 1.1 million. So it just
yeah,
shows you that,
yeah,
okay, if I can get in front of that many people, I know I can do it. I know
yeah,
I can do it. Like that's
yeah,
just proof. Like for me, how I see that, right? If half of those people took something away from that, or it made them feel good inside, I can never measure that. But then that's 500,000 people, on that journey to a million, and so it depends how you look at it. And at the end of the day, I'll be the judge of how that's gauged.
yeah,
Anyone can look at it differently, but yeah, it just shows that. And the greatest thing is that that piece of content was about giving back and inspiring a little boy. And that to
exactly.
me just fills me with joy that it's not controversial. It's not something that is
Yeah,
disgraceful. It's a
yeah,
it's a beautiful piece, and a lot of people may look at that and have said, oh, why do you have the camera there? Because I've got a job to do. I need to bring exposure to what I stand for and what I'm trying to build. Like at the end
exactly.
of the day, that's my decision. And
Yeah,
and do you think it's easy for me to, you know, I had no socials, to have that camera there. That's me living outside of my comfort zone. Like my heart's going a million miles an hour when he's got all his family there, and
yeah,
I'm
right.
running up behind him to chuck a jersey behind him. I'm just like,
Yeah,
holy shit, I am outside of my comfort zone here. And you
yeah,
learn to get comfortable, and
yeah,
I think like through these platforms, like you'll probably every time you have another conversation, it's another
yeah,
step forward. And like right now, you've probably had the most authentic version of me, because this is the last conversation I've had so far.
Yeah.
And so it's
Yeah.
another step forward. It's another way to get comfortable. It's another way to articulate. It's another way to get in front of more people. And
Well, and I
it's
think
just
that, it's so funny that you were talking about it's just another way to move the dial forward, I think is the biggest thing that I'm taking away here. And, I'll ask, advice for the viewers that are listening in here in a second. But I mean, I'm taking away just this, where you just you're becoming better and better, but also your mission and your brand, because you're absolutely right. Like, it's not always easy, like getting on camera or even thinking about content, like, because we think about like, it was so funny. Memories pop up on like Instagram and Facebook and all that kind of jazz, right? From the years before. And I saw this video of me a year ago talking about this topic. And I'm like, wow, I wonder if I can talk about that topic again, because a lot has happened since then. But I'm like overanalyzing. And I'm like,
absolutely.
well, no, because they've already seen it once before. So why talk about that topic again? I'm thinking to myself, like, shit, half the time I can't get people to watch a video anyways, let alone did they under
Yeah.
it was a year ago. Let's redo it. Why not? But you do it in such a way that, like you said, like even this conversation now, you're right. Like, I'm selfish. I get kick-ass people like you on here. I get to ask all the cool questions that I want, right? But it is for selfish purposes, because now I'm
100%.
absorbing your energy. Now I'm getting better. I'm taking on your superpowers. Like I'm learning what you're doing that is making you successful, but we're spreading the message to everybody else that may listen down the line, whenever that is, or watch, they get your message. Sam, I got to ask you, and I ask all my guests the same question. And I guess it's a twofold question, because it's not just about business owners and entrepreneurship out there. There's probably other people that are listening that aren't business owners, and they're not entrepreneurs, but maybe they're, thinking about doing something or want to do something. What's the best advice that I have, or that you have, for both business, owners, or want to be entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, or maybe even those people that are not? What advice do you have for them?
That's easy for me. One word: believe. As soon
Okay.
as you stop believing, is that's game over. The self belief is everything. You need to install that belief that you can do it. And that's a journey that I've been on myself, like getting into that NLP space, which is neuro linguistic programming, for those that don't know. And
Yeah.
I've literally just got my qualification in that. I haven't been pushing the coaching as hard as what I'd like to. I want coaching to be a part of this, but yeah, having that self assurance as a strength, but then also having something that was holding me back, that, oh, you can't do that. Like, you're always going to be having those mental battles. So if you're having those battles, step up and go and find ways that you can put yourself in a better position. Like, I'm literally spending thousands of dollars on myself to move forward. Whereas, I would have rather spent that on alcohol, spent that on drugs, spent that on
Right.
clothes, all that sort of shit. Like, the best return on investment is in you, and you have to believe in yourself. As soon as you tell yourself you can't do something, that's it.
Mm.
It's
You're
over
done.
before it began.
Yeah.
And there's only one person that has a right to tell you that you can't do something, and that's yourself. And if you're
Yeah.
not in that position, it doesn't mean that you can't get there. There's work that needs to be done, and there's so much tools out there. There's so much resources. Like, go out of your way to figure it out till you can empower yourself to say, you know what, you can do it. Like, when I first started this, I looked myself in the mirror and told my, and had those conversations. Like, are you truly fucking happy with what you see and what's going on in life right now? And
Right.
the
Yeah.
answer was no. So okay, the answer is no. So what do we do here? We go and look at the things that needed change and what are going to have the biggest impact.
Yeah.
And then, you take, again, it's just about taking one step at a time. And like, everything starts from those hard conversations. There's a lot that is because of your environment, that dictates a lot. But you got to stop living as a victim as well. Like, you got to, everyone is in control of how they move forward. And I get it, sometimes medically things can change. But as an example, again, I'm just going all over the show, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
Um,
No, no
So like,
worries.
you know, if someone said to me, okay, you know, your mother's died, I've got two options. I either look at it and be like, far out, why has this happened to me? You know, I'm so upset. You know, all these bad things always happen to me. Or I can look at it from a positive point of view and say, man, the time that my mother and I had together was absolutely amazing. I loved every single second of it. You know, these are the most, you know, pinnacle moments that she helped shape me in such a positive, amazing way. Yes, I'm going to be distraught. There's, you know, emotions are just emotions. They shouldn't be dictating how you move forward with your life. And
Yeah.
I truly believe there's a positive in every single thing, but and I know it's not easy, and some people probably don't agree with that. But you know, if you go deep enough, and you know, one of my mentors, like, her mother got eaten by a shark when they were scuba diving, and like it was tough for her to get back into water, but she, you know, understood what was going on. She reflected and all that sort of thing, and then she managed to eventually get back into the water and things. So yeah, it depends how you approach things, like, and
Yeah.
in the best return is like on the mind. As soon as you start, you know, putting that information in, understanding more about yourself, learning about awareness, and like it's all these cliche things,
Yeah.
but it's so super important. So the biggest thing, like say for me, is belief, is
Yeah.
without
Believe
a
in.
doubt. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's so fantastic, man. I mean, you and I could sit here and probably talk all day.
easily,
We'll definitely have to do, definitely a round two of
absolutely
this.
keen.
And thank you so much for coming in. I'm going to have you stick around for a minute. Everybody else that's listening right now, as you know, look, if you like this message, share this message. Where can people follow you, Sam? Where's the easiest way? I know Instagram,
Yeah.
Facebook, and everything like that as well. How can they find you?
Sweet as. So yeah, you can find me at Better Than Before, but it's spelled BETTR dot before. Yeah, TikTok. You can find me under the name Sam Ringahl on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Yeah, and also Facebook. There's a Facebook page as well. You know, I would love anyone to be a part of this. And if you ever need to have a chat, just remember, you know, a problem shared is a problem halved. I don't have all the answers, but the amazing thing about this community that's growing is that there's people that, you know, we've got coaches on board here. We've
Yeah.
got, millionaires. We've got successful sports people. If you come to me and say, this is what I need, or, you know, I would love to, you know, do this, I'm here to impact lives. If I can impact your life like that, I'll do anything I can to whether it be network you in, anything like that. You know, this is being built to facilitate positive change at scale from a country of 5 million. I would absolutely love nothing more than, you know, anyone to be a part of this, and the opportunity to potentially impact your life. So I'm super humbled. I'm super grateful for this opportunity to be here with you today, Clinton. And
Yeah, thank you so much for being our guest, man. And I appreciate it. And as everybody's listening right now, look, you know how it works, provoke positive change in you, your peak performance as well. And let's get out there and like Sam said, let's make a difference. Let's be better than before.
better never stops, baby.